Whoever's there, can you hear me? Nice. Love the silence. This is lit. Okay, cool. I don't know. It's boring right now. Let's see. That is pretty boring. Only 8 people watching. This is not what I want. Let's get more people in here. Before the ASCO webinar begins, can I ask you Nuncio Ski Club? Not really, no. Yeah, no. Maybe message me, but like, nah. I don't know. What time is it? Well, 10 people watching. It's 5 minutes from the thing. Come on. You guys can ask Key Club related questions before though. I'm down. Is there any way to turn on the resolution? I think it's my webcam. There's not much I can really do about that. Like I went to 360 and that's about all I can go at. I know that. Helped a little bit. Hmm. 3 more minutes. Oh, you're at 144. That's not good. It is really silent. 14, that's better. 14 people. 2 more minutes. I don't know how on paper I'm gonna go with this one because it's pretty similar yesterday, but I can go over it and then we can talk more about other stuff. I want a lot of questions, so you guys should ask a lot of questions later. That's probably going to be the bulk of it. Be right back, though. One more minute. You guys are not saying anything. It's kind of unsettling. Guys, say something in the chat. I'm so bored, please. Okay, time is now 8 o'clock. Oh, hi Mei-Ling. My day was pretty okay. Tuesdays are usually pretty generally okay. So, we're gonna start the Vice President's Workshop now. So, thank you guys for coming today. Just a few general rules. So, try not to spam the chat too much with a lot of questions, things like that. Maybe not questions, but more like irrelevant stuff. Try to keep it, typically about Key Club and about Vice President stuff. You don't have to be a Vice President to attend this workshop, but it's pretty beneficial for a lot of people. Especially if you're another officer, you want to understand what the Vice President does. So So we're just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna go off to this PowerPoint right here, and for the most part, I'm gonna read it all. But I may go off on a tangent sometimes to just add things that I want to say. So let's get into it. So vice president. Roles of a vice president. So as vice president, you're going to be kind of the second person in control. You're going to be the right-hand man or lady, and you're going to be assisting the president. So you hold a pretty high position in your club, and you're going to be assisting the president with anything he or she needs, and the rest of the club as well. So you're going to be leading the other officers and assist them in their duties. Be the executor. So one of the things that a lot of people say about vice president is that they don't really have anything to do because they have everything to do. Because when in the time of need of other officers, usually vice president is the one who steps up and say, "I will do this for you because I'm the vice president." And they kind of take the filler job and they kind of do everything in between. So that's very important to know about the vice president. So ensure that attendance is taken at meetings. That's usually the secretary's job. Vice president can also help with this. Ensure a newsletter is produced. So if your editor does decide to make a club newsletter, which you can look more into later, then the vice president can make sure that this happens with articles and visuals and different things in the newsletter. And ensure that dues are paid. So as dues season comes next winter and around November, December, it can get a little hard and the treasurer may be a little busy or confused. So vice president will definitely be able to help with that. Attend all meetings. So this includes all club meetings and all board meetings and everything in between like that. And Stephen Yang, I swear to God, if you interrupt me, I will kick you. So attend all meetings includes all meetings. Typically, you will be at all club meetings anyway, unless you're sick or not at school. So that's just going to happen the way it is. You will help lead the board meetings, and you'll be giving your opinions at board meetings and things like that. So that's pretty important. Help plan events and fundraisers. So that also goes kind of in the duties of being a vice president is you may not have a service coordinator, you may not have a fundraiser coordinator other than, say, your treasurer. So it's kind of a matter of working with the other officers to make sure what your job is, and one of them could be finding service events. And being vice president, you should learn how to find service events very effectively. And serve as a messenger to the members. So vice president usually acts as the person who's kind of the closest to the members, because sometimes other officers are too busy and they don't have they have many more things to do. Vice president can really get down and create a connection with the members, make sure that they know who's going to events, and then they have officers there for them, things like that. Okay, help a president communicate with the members through the Facebook group or the Facebook page or an email group. So there's a difference between a Facebook group and email group where one's more professional. When you want to use, when you want to do business, when you want to plan out events, things like that, you should be using an email group. For all Key Club business, you should be using your email to do everything like that because it's more official. You keep the messages there and you can understand what was communicated, things like that. Facebook group is more for promoting events, promoting opportunities within the district and things like that. So it's good to know the difference between the two, but it's good to help your president communicate effectively through both. Inform members about upcoming service events and fundraisers. So like I said, vice president is kind of like the tie between the members and the officers, a really, really big one and probably the primary tie. So it's very important that the vice president gets to know all the members that he or she serves and that you always tell them about the upcoming events. Make sure you know who's going to events and that people will be there for them and they get the help they need. Communicate to the lieutenant governor. Right now, that's me. Next term will be Mei Ling. So in my past term, I have worked with a lot of vice presidents, even more than presidents sometimes. And working with vice presidents is really interesting because a lot of them I can rely on, and it's very nice to have. And it's very good to have such great vice presidents around. But it's good to communicate with your lieutenant governor because when your president can't and or other officers can't, it's good to create that bond between you and your lieutenant governor so your lieutenant governor knows what's going on. And communicate with faculty and Kiwanis advisors. So this should be a duty of all club officers. You want to keep your Kiwanis advisors updated with everything you do and make sure they make sure you're safe, make sure you're following all protocol and things like that. So over the next term, you should definitely work on getting closer to your faculty and Kiwanis advisors. This is a giant wall of text. Let's just kind of go through it. So members, greeting members at the door, acknowledge everyone. If there's trouble, be sure to address it. Be a messenger to the members and see what they miss at meetings, things like that. So like I said, they're kind of like the messenger. They're you're going to be the one who's connecting the most of them, and it's just kind of creating that bond. So everything I mentioned before, keep that in mind. Board officers. Help president assign tasks to other officers, including yourself. Remember that you're there to help and assist. So, like I said, you're kind of the officer who has no job but all the jobs as well, is because you will be helping the president delegate tasks to every single board member. And sometimes people may have more to do than others. People may have things to do outside of school, and that's very important. So it's kind of your job to step in and make sure everyone is healthy in their working environment and they know what they're doing and they can do their job to the best of their ability. Advisors. So going to advisors for help is very, very important because they have years and years of experience. Like if you know the advisors that are really close to our division, you should know that they really do put in their work to help the clubs survive and make sure they thrive in the entire term. So it's very important that you communicate with your advisors and make sure you're listening to their advice because they do have a lot to say. Lieutenant Governor, me, Mei Ling. So we have a lot of information because we have been in Key Club for 3 or 4 years, and we do know that we do know a lot that goes in Key Club, including on the officer level, on the district level, a lot of different levels. So we're kind of like this knowledge base for you that you can always come to for help if you need it. So definitely come to us for help. And executives. If you really need that big of help on a larger level, like if there's a large conflict or this question you have about district news that no one else knows the answer to, you always go to the executives. So the executives are 3 Key Club members that serve as district governor, district secretary, and district treasurer. So they seem really big, but they're just on the district board just like I am. They're just currently they're seniors like I am. It always happens to be that way. And if you need someone to talk to, you always reach out to your executives through email. If you need the emails, I can always give it to you, things like that. So we have a question. Are the Kiwanis just the adult teachers? So not necessarily. A club typically will have a faculty advisor, which is a person that works at the school, and a Kiwanis advisor, who is a member of the sponsoring Kiwanis club if you have one. So if you are from, say you have a faculty advisor that is in Kiwanis, they could be a Kiwanis advisor, or they could be a faculty advisor, but typically they're going to be the faculty advisor. And you could have a Kiwanis member that works at your school but acts as your Kiwanis advisor. So it's not necessarily they have to be adult teachers. They're not always teachers. A lot of advisors actually aren't. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Sorry. Okay, so let's see. Moving on to the next slide. So, take action. So ensure that tasks are being delegated to officers and members. So this is also where you kind of help out the president in making sure that all tasks are delegated fine and everything works out in that way. So this can come in the form of task coordinators and event coordinators. So not only can the officers do work, but also you can involve the members too. Say you need extra help planning a service event. You could work out to the members and say, hey, do you want to help us on this specific task? Sure, lend a helping hand, come with us, and then just communicate with us, and then we'll be able to give you a leadership role. Something quick and easy like that for one event. Or you can always assign chairs. I know a lot of clubs do service chairs, fundraising chairs, so that's also something to consider. And ensure the tasks are completed, so MRF dues, etc. So as vice president, you're going to really need to get down on those tasks and things like that and make sure they get done, because you should know how to do these tasks as vice president, even though it's not in your position like secretary or treasurer. So the MRF, I would definitely take a look, study it, and make sure you can complete it if the secretary is not able to. Dues, get familiar with the process and understand what dues go to, and make sure if the current treasurer cannot do it, then be sure to step in and work with your advisors on that. So propose agenda items during board meetings. So you will have a voice as vice president that you really want to get across in your board meetings and make sure that your opinion is heard. And the opinion of the members, since you're so close to them, you want to make sure that they know, the officers know that what they want. And serve the members and ensure the fair election take place. That's kind of self-explanatory. I know we did have some election issues, but I'm glad they got cleared up. So make sure fair elections take place, and that's later in the term toward the end, and you'll understand that later. And serve the members, because you will be really close to them, and they are the reason why you are vice president. You didn't get there on your own. They really did build you up, so be sure to serve them to the best of your ability. So, represent the club at Kiwanis meetings. So this is an attendance slide. So attendance is a really big thing for me because being an officer never was really about, say, I'm going to just do my job. We have service hours. Why isn't that enough? It's the thing that makes Key Club different from other service clubs is that we have so many other opportunities and that we have so many other chances to go out on a limb and meet new people, work with adults, and have all these opportunities to just become better leaders. So attendance is a huge thing that separates you from other officers. So attendance. So if you're able to, try to go to the Kiwanis Club meetings. A lot of them can be kind of difficult because they are during lunch, but some of them are during dinner time on some weekdays. So definitely take a look out for that. Kiwanis DCMs also. They're usually on the weekends on Saturdays, usually, and if not, maybe they're on Tuesdays. It just depends on the lieutenant governor, what he or she wants. So if you want to represent Key Club there and show that you really are there for the support of Kiwanis, then definitely talk to your lieutenant governor about attending a Kiwanis DCM. So representative club at division council meetings. Everyone knows what the DCM is, especially if you are a member before, you're an officer before, because everyone loves division council meetings. They really want to be there and kind of experience like the event, but also it's for reporting purposes and representing the club you serve. So this term, we're going to make it mandatory that presidents attend, and on the off chance that presidents cannot attend, it is mandatory for the vice president to attend. But in general, you should be attending every single DCM, because not only DCM is appealing, but you really want to be beside the members and be beside your officers and make sure that they know what they're doing at the DCMs and how to represent your club properly. 10 service project fundraisers and club division events. So this is just a matter of staying active and being a really active officers and close to your club and making sure the growth of your club is coming out the way you want to. And that comes with just attendance, pure attendance. And district events. So as you all know, the special events such as Fall Rally, Decon, Icon, which is coming up in June, and other events like that, you really want to go to those. I know sometimes it can be a little extra money, but as an officer, you really want to represent your club and make sure that make sure everything goes smoothly and that your club is represented at these very, very important events. Because they are a lot of fun, but they do have a purpose of education and other representation. Host meetings. So when the president is gone, you will host club or officers meeting. And actually, in the case where the president's still there, maybe the president may ask you to lead it just to kind of spread the wealth a little bit, have other people participate in the leadership opportunity. So be prepared to lead meetings, really get out of your comfort shell and work on your public speaking skills. That's a really, really important thing about leading meetings, is it will benefit you in the end. So I definitely do suggest that. Help club president create effective meeting agendas. So as you see at DCMs, we do have a meeting agenda, and during club meetings, you should have a meeting agenda too. You should say, what are we going to talk about this meeting, how will we get it across to the members, and how will we make it interesting for them to hear. So it's always good to put your input in, especially on these kind of things like club meetings and other things like that, board meetings. And it's good to be efficient, but be sure to make it fun since it is Key Club and you really want to appeal to the members. So definitely aid your club president in that and bring out your ideas. Host special meetings planned for organized projects and activities. So this includes fundraisers, includes service project events, and other things like that. As vice president, you may have to be in charge of this. You never know depending on your club, but if you are in charge of this or you are helping out with this, be sure to create like a healthy working environment where other people just like you can work together and create the best events for your membership. This is going by really fast. I'm going to finish the slide and I'm going to ask you guys any questions. Okay, so monitor all officer work to ensure that it's completed on time. So this involves like the MRF, the articles and visual submissions, the officer and member of the month submissions, which you will be in charge of. Keep in mind, you guys should know what that is, but if you don't, further explanation later. So just make sure that all the work gets submitted on time, because we are all about being on time and making sure that everything works out the way it should. And this works on the club level too. Is like say you promise a service event by this week. If you don't get it done by then you're creating a distrust between you and your other officers. So it's very important to be punctual. And Division 2, we really strive for excellence. So it's very important. Give help when needed. So as vice president, you will be lending a helping hand and making sure that everything gets completed the way it needs to, and all officers are healthy and they know what they're doing and they can get their jobs done to improve your club. Have exceptional knowledge in Key Club and district and international level. So this will be really, 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 really helpful when you get to recruitment season. So around fall time, when the new school year comes around, you're going to want to tell people why to join Key Club. But in reality, when you think about it, do you know why to join Key Club? Do you know what the reasons are? Do you know what our motivations are? Why we do things? What we enjoy doing? What our service projects are? What our preferred charities are? Things like that. So it's more of a matter of research and kind of going to training conferences, understanding these things. And over time, you will get it. I never thought I'd get it. I never thought I'd be able to like spew facts to people at registration and make sure they know everything about Key Club. And it's just very important that you're kind of updated with all these things so you could advertise in the best way possible. Educate new members. So when new members join Key Club, they may just think it's a service club, but we all know that it's not just a service club. So it's very important that you kind of emphasize to them that this is so much more. Look at all these opportunities and what do we stand for and why we're different from everyone else. So ask for additional tasks. So some people may not always reach out for help when they need it, and that happens a lot. You guys know about this a lot. Probably a lot of you have pride in this kind of thing where you don't really ask for help because you're scared of what people may think of you. As vice president, you really want to reach out to your officers and members and say, do you guys need help? Like, I'm here for you. I'm open, and I can definitely help you out with this. I am active, and I want to help this club improve in any way I can. So if you can't do it, I can help you out. So things like that. And transition to vice president-elect. This will involve training, so I hope that your current vice presidents are training you right now. Right now, I'm putting in the effort to try to educate you guys a little more about what vice president is and what you should do to prepare for it and things like that. Okay, before we move on, do you guys have any questions? I'll wait about 30 seconds to go in the chat and go ahead. Going pretty fast on this one. This one's pretty fast. Checking Twitter. Okay, looks like no questions, so I guess I'll move on. You guys should really prepare questions because this is going by really quickly, and probably what you're gonna get the most out of is just asking questions at the end. So definitely save some, and I'll be glad to answer anything you have. Okay, so setting goals. So toward the beginning of the term, you really want to set goals for your club. Like, where will I envision that my club's going to be in the next year? That's something very important to consider because without growth, then what's the point of being an officer? You're not being an officer just for the fame. You're not there for the title. You're not really there to say that, oh, I'm an officer and this is what we do, and you just do service hours. No, it's about membership growth, getting more service hours, more service projects, getting more involved in the division, so much more than that. So definitely set goals at the beginning of the term. And you should really want to discuss with your lieutenant governor and your fellow officers, say, where do you want to be in the next term? And where do you want to end up? What do you think our end goal is, and things like that. So like I mentioned, it could be service hours, could be membership, could be extra fundraising. We have specific goals for this, like 5 service hours per month, $150 to service, which is either PTP or the Eliminate Project, things like that. Different examples like that, and just always reach for the stars. If you meet your goals, set new ones. You're never going to be pleased with your club, and that's the best mindset you can have. Members. So, as you may have noticed, that the vice president slides always go back to members, because I am really emphasizing it because it's super important. You guys need to get to know the members and make sure that you're like really the connection from the office to the members, to the division, to whatever. So you really want to get to know the members and make sure you're close to them, make sure they're comfortable talking to you if they ever need help with anything. Be able to ask and answer any questions and guide them on the Key Club journey. So as you get older, especially if you may be a junior or senior now, you may want to guide the underclassmen especially on their way in Key Club. Say like, this is what I did, this is what I experienced, and this is why you should do it, or things like that. And kind of guide them on their way to become a better Key Club member. Be thankful for their service and attendance. So members aren't obliged to go to your things, and they don't need to be there. That's exactly what it is. So when they do, you should definitely appreciate them and say like, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We put in the work for this, but it's really you who made the event. Things like that. Ask for ideas and input suggestions you can relay to other officers. So being the connection from members to officers, you really want to emphasize that you're really there for them and get their opinions on things they want. And if something appeals to them, like they have a really good idea for an event or service event, be sure to pull that out, offer it to the board and see what they think. And help keep them informed. So this could come in a matter of ways. I know a lot of clubs have done like text groups. I know a lot of clubs have done Facebook groups, which is really common. Other social media, you could simply just talk to them about meetings, things like that, and it'll be really helpful as long as they're staying updated and they know what's going on within the club. Tips and resources. Wow, we're almost at the end. So if your goal is not clearly defined, help the president or ask for tasks from other officers. Like I said, you won't always have like that designated task. You won't have that one form you have to do all the time or for every single day of the month. You may just want to ask, like, what do you guys need my help for? What do you guys want me to do that can improve our club? Things like that. So it's just kind of thinking outside the box and kind of working around everyone to make sure everyone has the helping hand they need. Work with officers and members to develop new product ideas. So part of Key Club is kind of the innovation of it, where you want to think of new ideas. What has never been seen before? What fundraising ideas can we do? What merchandise can we bring out? And now a lot of merchandise was brought out this year from Vice President, so that's really good. Things like that. It's just kind of creating new ideas to keep Key Club going, to keep Key Club growing, and that's very, very important. Taking initiative. So it's just part of being a leader, part of learning how to be a leader is taking initiative, kind of putting the step in and say, like, we need to do this. And even in a board meeting, even though you're not president, you're not the head honcho or whatever you may want to call it, you can always pitch in your opinion and say, this is what I think is for the best. And invest in a planner to help yourself time manage. Time management is different for everyone else. I know I procrastinate a lot, but I do get my stuff done. So it's definitely different from everyone. If you know you're guilty of time management, you really want to solve it as an officer because that will come as a problem, especially mixing school with Key Club. So going back to taking initiative, sometimes there will be a lot of like problems in your board and you may want to avoid them, but sometimes they can't be avoidable. But the best thing to do is kind of confront them head on. So you don't want to avoid problems, say like, oh, it'll get better. Other people just talk about it and eventually it'll go away, because that's not what happens. People will just keep going back and forth and there will never be a solution. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that people are happy on the board and they're comfortable serving as officers. Because if they're not and there's a problem, then you can't really work to improve your club in the best way you can. Okay, additional resources. So we're basically at now. So you can find a lot of things on the CyberKey right here. It shows that there's a Vice President and President's Manual. It really walks through all your duties as Vice President and duties of your club Vice President, much more. So on the Key Club office, the Key Club, cnhkeyclub.org, you can find a tab that says members, and then it has a little section that says officers. You can find all the resources you need there. Key Club International has more resources. I personally find the CNH resources a lot more pretty and a lot more resourceful. So definitely take a look at that. President and Vice President Google Reflector. So this is kind of an email reflector set up by the CNH the CNH district board, where they can directly communicate with you, and you can send emails to them asking for help, and you can ask a bunch of other vice presidents too. So it's kind of this ultimate connection through email, which is very professional. And advisors, lieutenant governors, executive officers, like we mentioned before, you have a lot of sources, a lot of knowledge base for this kind of help, and you always have the help you need. Okay, so now that we finished the PowerPoint, I'm going to go to something else. I'm going to look up the standards for recognition. So definitely we should talk about that. Let's see here. And let me know if you guys want me to go back to any other slides. Let's see. Officer, Vice President. Okay, and let me work on this. Okay. Oh no, I'm blocked. Let's fix this. Sorry guys. Oh god, I'm all big now. Oh no. Okay, cool. Okay, so just definitely, if you guys have any questions, definitely put in the text box, and then we'll check it out later. So this is the Vice President contest, kind of the PDF for it, where you can find all the requirements, things like that. So this isn't something you should really guide your term on, but you really want to touch on as you go through your term and make sure you're kind of hitting these things that you should be doing, but you want to kind of make sure about it. Because you should never base your term and your success on an award, but you may want to work towards something that gives you a little satisfaction at the end of the term. So let's go down the checklist. So what a lot of people don't know is that to apply for these contests, you have to do specific things, and I'm going to kind of go over them right now, because at the beginning of the last term, a lot of officers didn't know about it. And when they wanted to apply for awards like these, they didn't exactly, they weren't allowed to because they didn't do specific criteria. So let's go over them. So, for example, you must have paid club membership dues by December 1st. So this is the regular deadline for dues, and you want to make sure you get it before then. So probably November 1st is a very good deadline, but any time between November and December is a good time to submit your dues. So work with your club treasurer in the future when you find out more about that. As an officer, in order to be in good standing, you must serve 50 service hours or more and be an official member of Key Club International. So that means you must pay your dues. And your home club also must be in good standings and have paid their dues, all of them. So, attendance. This is kind of where it gets a little fuzzier. So, for club meetings, you must attend at least 80% of all club meetings, which usually shouldn't be a problem because you will be attending most of the meetings anyway, being the vice president. Board meetings, you should attend 80% of club board meetings. Same thing, you'll be helping leading them, you'll be giving your opinion, so definitely attend those. Division council meetings. So throughout the term, you will usually have 12 to 13 division council meetings. And it's very important that you kind of go to them because, like I mentioned earlier, attendance is very important. But for this purpose, you want to go to at least 6. And you should strive to go to all of them because not only are they a really good time, but they're a great way to connect with the members of other clubs and your club. So Kiwanis meetings. So you can either attend a minimum of 1 Kiwanis DCM, which is what I mentioned earlier, or a minimum of 3 general Kiwanis meetings. So kind of work your way around this. Make sure you understand when Kiwanis meetings are, what a Kiwanis DCM is, and try to attend as much as you can to kind of get the representation you need for your club. Training conferences. This is kind of where it gets a little fuzzy. So a lot of officers last term didn't know in order to kind of get an award for their work at the end of the term, you must either attend officer training conferences, usually held in May or June, or region training conferences, usually held in September or October. So definitely look out for those 2 events. You will want to go to them because not only will they be beneficial to you, but they are mandatory for this these type of awards. And Vice President Workshop, you should be attending the Vice President Workshop at District Convention, which is coming up soon, International Convention, Officer Training Conference, or Region Training Conference. So just of those 4 events, you should be going to some of them already. So definitely attend the Vice President Workshop and you'll be golden. So this is kind of the application for what we call distinguished or Vice President recognition. If you want to take a look at it, you can find the CNH Cyber Key, and it's going to be under recognition and then contests, and then it has the Vice President section. Okay. After all that rambling, actually it hasn't been that much time, so do you guys have any questions whatsoever? Questions. I'm down. Guys, please. I mean, this webinar is pretty simple. Vice President is a pretty simple position, but it does have that, like I said, that aspect of doing everything and nothing at all. So, just it's a really flexible position that you should really be aware of. Okay, Stephen asks, what are the ways officers can retain member participation after FRN? So we answered this question yesterday, and it's always important to address because a lot of different people ask it. So when you want to retain members after FRN, it's very important to keep the motivation up. And it's just... Hold on, I need to focus on one question at a time because more questions are coming. So it's important to keep the motivation up, and when officers aren't motivated, then the members will be motivated. They won't feel that they need to do things because FRN is over. But that's not true because the term goes the entire year long. That's very important to understand. So with FRN, it is kind of that thing where you see, oh, everyone gets excited. You see so many members from Division 2 here, and then right after you kind of see like this decline in membership. So it's important to keep planning events. As Vice President, you're going to want to help with this. Plan events and make sure the members can stay interested with things they can participate in. So that's a very, very big point. Staying interested yourself, making sure that you're enthusiastic about everything you do and that the members know that and they can come to you kind of as a resource is very important too. Let's see. That's about it. I mean, it's just about staying motivated and kind of creating events for the members to serve more and advertise the DCMs, because those DCMs go on no matter what. No matter how many members there are, there's always going to be DCM. So definitely advertise that to them as really fun events that they can get to connect with other people. Okay, so Andrew asks, if a club has multiple vice presidents, would you recommend that the duties are divided sharply or should be blended? And if so, what duties could they be divided into? That's a very good question, because I believe you got either 5 or 6 total vice presidents, and as opposed to like one from other clubs. So a lot of people have a different variety. We've seen a lot of different variety in vice presidents. So what I've seen a lot of times is vice president of administration, say, and vice president of service. So vice president of administration is kind of like the one that helps the president the most kind of manage board officers and things like that, and kind of the business of Key Club. And vice president of service is usually capable of, is really the one that helps come up with the service events, and that's a really big part of it. So when a club has 2 vice presidents, it's either for a reason they need the job to be split because one person can handle both of them, or they need they just have such a large club that they want 2 vice presidents to kind of help maintain the membership and things like that. So more suggestions could be like VP of communication, so you could always be talking to Kiwanis advisors, can be talking to the members, especially the members, making sure they're updated with things like that. Like I said, vice president of service, vice president of administration, general vice president. Like I said, just takes the roles of other officers and make sure everything's getting done. So there's a large variety in what you could do. Hope that answered your question. Mailing asks, how do you recommend VPs make their e-portfolio for recognition? So what an e-portfolio is kind of like you're going to be typing all this stuff up in an e-portfolio, and you're going to be compiling it into like what is called a binder, which is just a collection of kind of pages. So say you type on a Word document and then you print that, but you print it digitally, and then you put these pages together, kind of make like an electronic book. So that's kind of what you're doing. So what you want to do is use a program like Microsoft Word. You use Microsoft Publisher is what I use. You use Pages. A lot of people use different programs. So kind of create these, make these pretty, put your work in. A lot of times they have writing prompts, so they have like proof of what you've done. So you're just going to format these on one binder and make sure that it's kind of appealing, and you want to make sure they're all in one package. And that's very important. So when you're making that, it's just kind of like a PDF binder, and you're going to need to merge that PDF. So in general, just use a program that you could type on, and then you can print those pages into PDFs. Does anyone have any other questions? There's still a lot of people watching. You guys must have questions, right? Guys, please. Just waiting. Waiting. You don't have to be a vice president-elect to ask anything either. You can ask anything. Can you show me how to sizzle? No, Steven. No, I can't. I really can't. No, Nat. I said no. Ask questions. Real questions. I'm just on Twitter right now. I'm doing my thing on Twitter. I was so mad today that UCI didn't come out, UCI admissions, because they keep teasing us and saying like, oh, it's going to come soon. But today's the 15th. I was totally expecting it to be today, but it wasn't today. And like, I don't really like, I don't know, I don't really want to go there anymore, but still, it's like, why are you playing with me, UCI? That's not cool. Can you do it with me? I'm from. Didn't we just say like no, not like it has to be Key Club related? Didn't we just say that? Is there a reliable way to find service events? Oh, this is a very, very good one. So there are a lot of different websites you use to find. I don't think that actually it didn't save yesterday, so I'm not sure if this will be saved. So I'm kicking Steven. Hold on. Cool. Oh wait, no, I think I just removed. Oh, never mind. Anyway, so a reliable way to find service events. You can find a multitude of ways. You can find look in your you can look online. Online is probably the best resource you'll have. You'll be able to look on websites like Volunteer Match. I'm not too aware of other ones, but if you ask other officers and other people who know more about this stuff, then definitely they can tell you about how to find service events, because there always are going to be service events around. And especially for our division being around like Oakland, San Leandro, Cache Valley, things like that, there's always a surplus of service events. So definitely check them out. And oh wait, no, she's from 12 West. So just yeah, San Jose, Campbell area, like there should be service events a lot, and there's a lot of like town events. So definitely talk to, look into your city hall, things like that. City events are good things to go to. Things that you can rely on are things that are like weekly events, like things that happen periodically throughout the month, or bi-weekly, things like that, monthly. And those are always reliable events to have. And it's just a matter of knowing who to look out for, who needs help. And what I would do is I would talk to fellow officers. I would talk to fellow officers within the division you serve and see what they're doing. And I don't think this video will be saved because I looked at it yesterday and the President's Workshop was only like a minute long. And that's impossible because it was like 45 minutes or an hour. I don't know why it doesn't save. I thought it would save too. Thank you, Steven, for your assistance. So as VP, we get to use. You have to get used to working for something and not take credit for it. That's interesting. That's a very interesting point. I wouldn't say this. I think oftentimes officers do feel unappreciated, and it does happen because a lot of people don't know the work that officers do. But it's not necessarily something you should really look into taking credit for it. Taking credit for things is kind of like in a negative connotation. I would say being more recognized and being appreciated for it. So, it's difficult because in the end, the real reward isn't being like taking credit for things, but rather seeing how far your club can get. And that's the best part. So just knowing what you do for your club and kind of working through it all and saying what's worth it in the end. How much change am I making? Who appreciates me? and who really knows that I'm there. Like your lieutenant governor will always appreciate you. Your fellow officers will appreciate you. Your advisors will appreciate you. People that see your progress will appreciate you. So don't worry about that. So yeah, that's a good way to rewatch the video. Also, the presentation is available on the CNH CyberKey. I can pull it up for you guys right now. Let me see if this works. Okay, let's see. So you can go to events. You can go to events, go to officer training conference, and down here you're gonna find the vice president OTC presentation, which is what I'm using right now. Yeah, that should work.
Quick question.
So Calvin's asking if there's a conflict between VPs, what should they do? That also is a thing that comes up a lot because sometimes the problem with having multiple VPs is like which one is more powerful than the other, and there is no true answer to that because there should be no like power shift or anything like that. Everyone should be equal, and a lot of times members will find that one officer is more reliable than the other. So if there's a conflict between VPs, what should they do? It's just a matter of consulting the other officers and kind of finding a balance between the two. Because as vice presidents, they are equal. No matter what their duties are, no matter what they do, they should be equal, and they should be putting in equal amounts of work. So conflict between VPs is just a conflict between any other officers. Just face it head on. Make sure they know what they're dealing with and how to resolve as soon as possible so you can benefit your club. Not enough people like my profile picture. That's sad. Come on, guys, ask questions. Seriously speaking, does the same apply to conflict? Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I mentioned yesterday, I know you were there yesterday for the president workshop. Issues between officers is always very, very a difficult concept to like kind of. It's easier said than done when I say deal with it, but you really, like I said, when you see a problem uprising, you don't want to let it go. You don't want to say like this is just gonna go away or something because it won't. You really want to just face it head on and say like this is kind of getting in our way and we need to get rid of it. Because in the end, you guys don't want to be worried about like, oh, will they be my friend afterward? You want to say like, we're working for this club and this is our purpose. We signed up for this. That's the most important thing. We signed up for this. So just do your jobs and make sure you get everything cleared up. And it's just important to do as soon as possible. Let's see. Say the president is conflict VP under the office. Should the best. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the VP's job to just step in. It's important that everyone steps in. So, like, I would talk about it as a group and address it as a group. So one person doesn't look like they're just attacking one person. That's very important. I noticed in the communicate slide that it mentions communicate with members, club officers, faculty, and advisors. There's also a responsibility to communicate with other key clubs about service events. So it's not necessarily a responsibility, but what our division has kind of like nonchalantly adopted is that kind of like the sister club system, because I know that Arroyo and San Leandro work together a lot, and sometimes say Albany, for example, and Piedmont work together, Albany, Berkeley, things like that. So it's just a matter if you want to work with other clubs to plan service events. That's also a very big thing. Plan fundraisers, plan social events, get to know other key clubs. That's something you may want to look into. So it's not a responsibility, but it is something you're going to look into, especially serving alongside other presidents, Andrew. Andrew asked good questions. I like Andrew's questions. Still more questions. More questions. More questions. Let's see. I think I'll end this at 8:45 if you guys don't have any more questions. It's kind of going slow. Questions, guys, come on. Questions. Steven asked me, did I talk about getting a license? I don't know what he's talking about. Let's see. Yo, can you show where to get the presentation again? Because I can't find it. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to the CNH Key Club Cyber Key. So let's see. I'm just going to link it. So you're going to go here. So at that link, you can find the presentations at the very bottom. It has President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer. So those are very important resources that you can use. Yep, no problem. 4 more minutes for questions. Oh yeah, tell your secretaries to attend tomorrow, because the secretary one's probably one of the more important ones because it's so detailed and there's so many things in it, and I'm probably going to tire myself out for it. Oh, well, tomorrow's stream, yeah, tomorrow's stream will be held at 8 p.m. Same thing. Hopefully. Yeah, I should be able to. And that'll be my last stream. Thursday and Friday will be mailing. We'll be taking over. What is the best way for you to learn from other positions? Asking them directly. So, the best way to learn from other positions, it's like I said, the vice president can be difficult because you kind of need to know like what everyone's doing. So what you should do is kind of, for the next few days, just pay attention to the other officer workshops. That's very good. Those are the main ones, like secretary and treasurer. Very, very good ones. And just asking them, yeah, talking to them, asking them about their experience, asking past ones, like say for Nat, if you just want to ask your past club officers, see what they did and see like how they did things and how it was effective for them. That's just kind of what you want to go about it and make sure that you know what they're doing, so you can probably take it up if you need to. Asking them directly is a good way. Asking other current vice presidents what they do, or other current club officers. So that's just the best way to learn about other people's experience, is just talking to people, learning. Okay, one more minute. These questions are dry, guys. Can you give us a final summary of today's live stream? Okay, so TLDW, I think too long didn't watch. So, as vice president, you'll be a liaison to kind of your club members, to the division, and working with a lot of different people. So that includes members, officers, advisors, lieutenant governors, and beyond. So it's just working with a lot of people, working on your public speaking skills, work on your communication skills, things like that, working on professionalism, everything like that. Really have a focus on working with the members, making sure you're close to them, and making sure that you really connect with them and make sure you understand what they want in the club so you could further improve your club. You're going to be the officer that may not have a lot to do, but it can take everything what everyone else does. So if someone needs help with a certain task or what they cannot complete in that said time, then you should be able to pick it up because you will be the one picking up the slack for your club. And as vice president, you should be doing that. As vice president, you should also be helping lead meetings, create meeting agendas, and really give your opinion. Giving your opinion as an officer is very important, whether it comes across the right way or not. You want to say what do you think is best for the club and see if other people agree with you. Maybe not push your ideas on others, but be sure to say that this is what I think and this is why I think it. This is what I think we should do. And it's very important to just never give up. Like Steven asked the question about FRN. What happens when after FRN? How to keep motivated? Just stay motivated yourself. Keep pushing through it. Keep planning events, and make sure the members have things to do. Other than that, I think that's pretty good. Just attend a lot of things. Stay dedicated and make sure you realize that you signed up for this and you're really doing it for something so much more than just a service club and it's key club you're doing it for. Okay, I'll take one more question. There has to be at least one more question. We're in a little bit over. This is so inspirational. Okay. One more question, guys. Maybe I should add music to this or something. I don't know how to add music. I should probably do that. Because this is like super dead right now. Yeah, I should add music next time. Okay. Romina has the last question. What are some ways to establish closer bonds with... Oh, okay, so Nat has another question. Thanks, Nat. Okay, so what are some ways to establish a closer bond with members? So it's just a matter of kind of being around them. I know a lot of vice presidents tend to be really distant, and they kind of just tend to act like they're all high and mighty, but it is really about being with the members. So sometimes it's about asking, like, connecting with them on Facebook, making sure they're, you add them on social media, things like that. Sometimes it's just sitting with them at the events. Especially DCMs, things like that. Because a lot of times, I remember when I was a freshman or when I was a sophomore, I felt very lost at DCMs and that I couldn't really do anything to meet other people. But I really just kind of branched out to people I knew, and those were my officers. So it's definitely about being there for the members, and that's how you just get close to them. It's just through experience, kind of meeting them and just being beside them. Not on top of them, but just beside them. Okay, Nat has the last question. So what do you do if your school's ASB has a lot of policies, meaning they take a lot of time to approve events? You can't really get around that. Because one of the things about Key Club is that you kind of got to work with school policy. So if they take a long time to approve events, then you have to take a long time before to plan these events. It's not something that we can really help you guys with, but like it's just something that you must do. Yeah, in a way of saying it. So it's just something you got to work around. And it is your school. You have to pay attention to all the rules. You have to follow all the rules, things like that. So just kind of work with all that. I know San Leandro does have a lot of rules. Okay. So it is now 8:49. That was the last question. So thank you guys. Thank you for attending the workshop. I hope you guys did get a lot of it. I'm not answering how I feel because I never do that. So I hope you guys got a lot of it. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to email me. Feel free to message me, anything like that. And definitely I can get to. And Amy asked a question. Okay, I'll answer it right now. How can you improve communication between board members besides board meetings? So this is kind of a general question that can kind of be addressed with, say, board socials. I know a lot of officers didn't have them this year. Maybe you want to work on, say, on the weekend. Say, set aside a date. Say, we're not having an event this weekend. Let's just all hang out. Let's go get dinner. Let's go get ice cream or something. Go get boba. Let's just hang out as officers, as friends, not as coworkers, not as officers. We're not really thinking about Key Club. We're just talking about as friends and getting to know each other on a personal level. So that's just kind of at the discretion of your own board, but it's just about kind of creating that relationship early so you can just get through the term and trust each other. Okay, that should be the last question. Okay, so thank you guys for attending. This should be all good, and I think the vice president one is kind of, it went by really quickly, but it is kind of an in-depth position that does require you to know a lot. So if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me, Mei Ling, and definitely, I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you at the next DCM. And attend the next workshops. It's very important that you attend the next workshops because you should know what they're doing. Okay, bye guys.